Yes,
So
please
we can
start.
start.
Yeah.
Good morning to our esteemed guest, Lieutenant Colonel Brahmankar, retired, sir, and all the other participants attending this webinar. I am Niramal, and I am the 2022 pass out from Vishwakarma Institute of Technology. Just to say a word about VIT. VIT is a private autonomous institute with NIRF ranking of 122 and has a NAC A++ accreditation, being the only private autonomous engineering institute to have such accreditation. Also, VIT provides a 360-degree exposure to its students via innovative assessment techniques, student exchange programs, by having a tie-up with various prestigious foreign universities, through compulsory internships for real-time job training, and many more. So, today, under the guidance of Honorable Director of VIT, Dr. Jalnekar sir, we are exposing engineering students to a new arena of career, which is defense services, for which we have our guest, Lieutenant Colonel Brahmankar sir, to shed light on this topic. I'd now like Aditya to go ahead with his introduction.
Thank you, Niramal. Good morning, everyone present here. Myself, Aditya Tangdi. I am right now studying in third year in Instrumentation and Control Department in VIT Pune. So today's topic of webinar is Career for Engineers in Army, Navy and Air Force. So it's my honor and privilege to introduce our respectable speaker, Lieutenant Colonel Pradeep Brahmankar sir, retired. So he is an engineering graduate from Government College of Engineering Pune of 1980 batch. He has served in private organizations too, namely Perfect Circle Victor Limited, Nashik for 1 year and Shivaji Works Limited, Sholapur for 2 years. Officer did MBA from Pune University, Department of Commerce and Management Sciences, and I specialized in the field of human resources and personal management. Colonel Brahmankar joined Indian Military Academy, Dehradun on 8th of February 1984 and was commissioned in Corps of Electronics and Mechanical Engineers on 15 December 1984. He has served in various parts of country from Siachen Glacier in the north to Chennai in the south, from Firozpur in the west to Darjeeling in the east. During the year 1989 and 1990, he served in Sri Lanka as a part of Indian peacekeeping force and was posted at Palali near Jaffna. Officer also participated in Operations Vijay and Operation Trident. He has performed regimental duties in various EME units and has been a staff officer at Coast Headquarters in Northern Sector and has been instructor at Military College of EME, Sikandarabad, Andhra Pradesh. Also, I am happy to tell you that one of our alumnus, Miss Aditi Katare, a 2021 batch pass out of CS department, has undergone defense service coaching from Brahmankar sir, as now is undergoing training as an Air Force trainee. So, sir, I welcome you this webinar, and I request you to light this up with your precious word. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Aditya. Thank you so much. So let us start with the presentation.
Yes, sir.
Can we, I wanted to share the screen, please. I wanted to show the presentation.
So you can share it with an option, green button down in the options menu. Share
Yes,
screen.
okay. Yeah. Yes. Okay, friends. Good morning to all of you. Let me take this opportunity to first of all thank the management of VIT and Dr. Swati, who has taken the initiative to contact me and plan this wonderful webinar. So today I'm going to speak on a career for engineers in the Army, Navy and Air Force. First of all, how I landed in the Army. Now, actually, this has nothing to do with the career in the Army, Navy and Air Force, but it's also a small link as to how engineers think of this particular career or how they don't think of this career. Friends, when I passed out of the engineering college, I was not even aware that the Indian Army requires engineers. And most of us are generally not aware. Now, say for example, there would be a number of students who are attending but there would be a number of students who are not attending as well. So therefore, those who are not attending, they won't know what exactly is the career for the in the forces for the engineers. Like when I did my FY, pre-degree FY, nowadays it is 11, 12, and then you go for engineering. The only thought that had was there in my mind was to go for engineering without thinking or knowing anything about the application of engineering in the industries. My dad being a civil engineer, the only thought in my mind was that the engineers means only the civil engineering thing. But when I joined the first year, those days, the engineering first year onwards, the streams or the branches were not allotted. They used to get allotted after completion of the first year. I am talking of the year 1976. And then after first year, based on the marks that you get a branch for engineering. Your choice, and with what if that choice falls within this thing, then you will get your choice. Otherwise, you don't get your choice. And that's how I chose metallurgy, because that was the choice. Other than mechanical and electronics, I could have opted for any other choice. I opted for metallurgy without knowing what exactly metallurgy is all about. Thinking that yes, all kinds of engineers have applications all over and one must go ahead. So that is how I opted for a branch. Now, after completion of engineering, I joined the private industry and basically the foundries. So mechanical engineers, and if there are metallurgists, they'll understand what is a foundry. Nowadays, we are much more aware as compared to the good old days. And the foundry is an area or is an industry wherein there is a lot of dust, a lot of heat. And while going for a job, I used to go in clean clothes, and while coming back, my clothes used to be black. Because I had to stand in front of the furnace for 8 hours. Just imagine the temperatures of around 1500 degrees centigrade every day. You have to stand in front of the furnace because the metal quality was my responsibility as a metallurgist. So after 3.5 years of service, I thought that the production is not suiting me, even though I was enjoying my job. But still, I thought if I work in this kind of an environment for maybe another 5, 10 years or 12, 15, 20 years, I would definitely reduce my lifespan. That made me think of an alternate career, and I thought of switching over from production to either marketing or purchase or that kind of a thing. But let me tell you, friend, that it is not easy. Once your career starts with production, you get labeled as a production engineer, and then you have to go ahead in that field only. So wherever I applied for production, I got the interview calls, but whenever I applied for marketing or purchase, I never received an interview call. So another option was to switch over entirely from industry somewhere else, which was not in my mind actually. But all of a sudden, I saw a big ad for engineers to join the Indian Army. And that is my story about the army. When I went there for the SFB, not knowing anything about the army as such, knowing nothing about the SSB as well, but going there, I got selected. And after getting selected, that changed over my mind, because as it is, I was thinking of switching over from the production of foundries or from the industry. And that's how I landed into the army. Let me be very honest. I was not knowing what job will be there for me as an engineer in the army. But it is like jumping into the waters without knowing the depth of the pool or anything for that matter. So that was the kind of thing what happened with me. But today, things are totally different. So I just thought that I must apprise you how I landed. So this made me aware that yes, there are so many students who won't be aware of the career. And since 2005, since the time I have come out of the army, I am making awareness as one of my major things which I have been doing, conducting programs all over the country wherever possible. And that's about my story of joining the army. We just proceed in the presentation, friends. Now, I would be covering the presentation in the following phases, friends. Firstly, Indian Army as an organization. Secondly, students from various engineering streams making career in the armed forces. Ways of getting into the Indian Armed Forces. The competitive exams. The qualities required. The SSB interview and its preparation. And the opportunities for higher education. We move on further. The Indian Army. The Indian Army, friends, constitutes of the fighting arms, the supporting arms, and the services. Now, the fighting arms consist of infantry, the mechanized infantry, and the armored regiments. These are the main fighting arms. Then the supporting arms constitute the artillery, the corps of engineers, the corps of signals, then the intelligence corps, the Army Air Defense, then the aviation, and the services constitute of the corps of EME, electronics and mechanical engineers, ASC, Army Service Corps, AOC, Army Ordnance Corps, AMC is Army Medical Corps, ADC is the Army Dental Corps, AEC is the Army Education Corps. Friends, I am purposely bringing this particular point out. The reason is very simple. When I move on further during the presentation, you will realize you can link it up. First and foremost, the infantry, mechanized infantry, armored and artillery. Here only the boys will be there, only the male officers will be there. Whereas in engineer, signals, intelligence, AD, EAB, ASC, AOC, AMC, ADC, AEC, you have lady officers as well. Now there are three engineer, signals and EME are marked in red because I have made it particular. They here ladies are there, males are also there, both are there, and these are technical arms and services. Means here the role of engineers is much more, and primarily any officer who is in the corps of engineers or the corps of signals or the corps of EME will be an engineer only. But let me also tell you that infantry also can have an engineer. Okay, it is not that the infantry or the mechanized infantry won't have engineers. But in the corps of engineers, signals and EME, you necessarily have to be an engineer only. So those who have not done engineering, they will undergo an engineering degree after they are joining the army if they are from the engineer, signals or EME. Hope I have brought this, but we move on further now. Yeah. Now this particular thing wherein I have brought out a few candidates who have joined the Indian Air Force, the Army and the Navy, not all the students of mine, but a few of them, so that you can understand the their streams and where they have joined, that kind of thing. Like for example, Shrilekha Nath, a daughter of an Air Force officer, she did her BTech in biotechnology, and she is selected and joined as a part of the ground duties in the Indian Air Force, that is admin and logistics. And she joined the Air Force in July 2011. Here is next Chaitanya Modak from Pune. He did his BE Instrumentation and Control from VIT Pune. Aditya, who just introduced me, I believe he is also a student of the Instrumentation and Control. So Aditya, this is one student who's from VIT, and this is for information of all of you, that he joined as a fighter pilot, friends. He joined the flying branch. One cannot join straight away as a fighter pilot. You just join the flying branch or the technical branch or the ground duties branch. So he joined the flying branch and he got the fighter stream. So Chaitanya Modak from VIT today is a fighter pilot, and he joined the Indian Air Force in July 2012. Okay, we now proceed further. Harsimranjit Kaur from Hoshiarpur, Punjab. She is BTech Electronics and Communication Engineering. She is again a part of the flying branch. Friends, in flying branch, there are three streams. One is the helicopter stream, second is the transport aircraft stream, and third is the fighter stream. We just saw that Chaitanya joined the fighters. Harshimranjit has joined the flying branch as the transport aircraft pilot. She has got selected through a fast track selection, FCAT. In between 1 or 2 years, there was a special selection scheme which came up, and they conducted a fast track selection. This was in addition to the FCAT test conducted twice in a year. And this was conducted in Pune University. She went there, got shortlisted, and then later on qualified the SSB and medicals and joined in January 2014. Now we have Nivas Ekal from Kolhapur, Maharashtra, who is a BE Computers and joined the technical branch. He is serving in the communication systems of the Indian Air Force. He joined the Indian Air Force in January 2015. Next, Nidhi Seta from Gadchiroli, Maharashtra. She did her power engineering from BE in power engineering from Nagpur. She came all the way from Gadchiroli to Pune for taking the SSB training. We call it the Air Force, people call it the AFSB. She came here for 15 days. We trained her for 15 days and she joined the technical branch. That is, she cleared the FCAT and the EKT and then the SSB, and she joined the Indian Air Force in January 2014. The next student is Kailash Karmarkar from Pune, who did his BE Mechanical, and again he joined the flying stream, flying branch. He is the transport aircraft pilot and his entry is through the FCAT. He appeared for the FCAT while doing his final year engineering. So on completion of his engineering, he would straight away join the Indian Air Force. He joined Air Force in January 2018. The next one, we have Rucha Sial from Pune. She did her BE Computers and she joined the Indian Air Force in July 2017, had cleared FCAT and EKT. She is a part of the technical branch of the Indian Air Force. Last but not the least, Aditi Katare, who is again the student of VIT Pune, did her BE Computers. She cleared her FCAT and EKT, and she's a part of the technical branch, and she joined the Indian Air Force in September 2021. She also served in the corporate for, I think, 6 months or 1 year. We move on further. She is my student of the SSB, that is the FSB. We proceed further. Why I'm covering a few students? The reason is basically which area they have been able to join, which engineering branch they have done. One can link it up so that at later part of the presentation, we can link it up as well. Gauri Chavan from Ichalkaranji, Maharashtra, did her BE Electronics from DKTEI Ichalkaranji. She joined the Corps of Engineers in October 2010. And I am proud to tell you that she has been granted permanent commission just 2 months back. The board was announced because she joined as a short service officer. And now she will get a permanent commission. So she can serve for any number of years or minimum 20 years. And up to the age of 54, she picks up the colonel's rank. And above that, if depending on the rank she gets, if she becomes a brigadier, then she goes further, she gets the 2 years extension. Similarly, because as per the Army rules and regulations. Then we have Sarang Vamorkar from Amravati, who did his BE ENTC, is in the Corps of Signals. Again, a short service technical entry, joined in April 2011. Next, Dipender Lote from Delhi. She is done BE ENTC from Pune, some college in Pune itself. She joined the Corps of EME, Electronics and Mechanical Engineers. She is SS Tech Women Entry and joined the Army in April 2012. Now we have Adil Khan from Delhi. Friends, he is again a student from, not from VIT, but a sister institute of VIT, that is VIIT Pune. So under the same banner of VIT, friends, Adil Khan is from VIIT, BE Mechanical from VIIT. He joined the Corps of Engineers through the UES. He had cleared both the US and the TGC entry, friends. He joined through the US because there were some additional benefits of pay and promotions through the US entry. So he joined through the US. He had cleared both US entry as well as the technical graduate course entry. And again, a similar entry wherein I just mentioned about the Air Force officer Kailash Karmarkar. Similarly, Adil Khan, the minute he cleared the engineering, he joined the Indian Army. He is a January 2012 entry. The next, Sampanna Kolhatkar, Pune. He has done BE Printing and Graphical Technology. A specific entry, a very different entry, because this entry is not there in technical graduate course, friends. So he is joined the Army through the CDS entry. As you can see, CDS IMA entry. And he is a January 2013 entry. Friends, let me tell you, he stood first in the All India entrance, All India merit of the CDS exam. And on commissioning, he has been allotted the Army Service Corps, ASC. Now, just see, he is from the Corps, from engineering graduate who has been allotted ASC, Army Service Corps. Okay. We move on further. Bhumika Rathore, who is done BE in Information Technology. Most of the students, whether they are from Delhi or from other places, they are most probably, ideally they are studied in Pune, done their engineering in Pune. And there are a few students who come all the way for training to Pune with Apex. Okay, Bhumika Rathore did BEIT, commissioned into the Corps of Signals. She is again a CDS entry. She is not a technical SS Tech entry. She is a CDS entry because boys and girls can enter the Army through the CDS entry as well as the technical graduate course, as far as the engineers are concerned. And she joined in October 2013. Next, Uttam Kumar Jadhav from Belgaum, Karnataka. He is not from Pune. He did his engineering out of Pune. However, he was serving here in Pune in Infosys, and he did his BE ENTC, got commissioned into the Corps of EME, Electronics and Mechanical Engineers. He is an entry through the CDS OTA. Let me tell you, friends, Uttam Kumar Jadhav cleared the entry in his 13th attempt. He came to me after 10 unsuccessful attempts. The 11th entry, when he went for the SSB, he was screened out. The 12th, he got recommended for the Air Force, but medically he got rejected. And the 13th entry, he got again selected for the Indian Army, and he joined through this CDS OTA entry as a commissioned officer in the Indian Army. He is joined in April 2014. The next is Gaurav Kher, again from Pune. Friend, he is again an UES entry, University Entry Scheme. Now what happens is, ideally US entry is only for the Corps of Signals, Engineers and EME. But this was in the past. Today, all the engineers are taken and can get commissioned in various arms and services. And he has opted for infantry, and he has opted for Dogra, and he has got infantry and Dogra regiment. Okay, so he's a mechanical engineering graduate from Pune, opted for infantry. He is serving in the Dogra regiment, and he, through the university entry scheme of the engineering, he has joined the Indian Army. He joined Army in January 2015. Next we have is Niyati Hirve. Now we are talking about the Indian Navy entrants. Niyati Hirve is from Indore, and she is come specially to Pune for getting trained for the SSB. She did her BTech IT from Indore itself, and she served in the ATC branch of the Indian Navy. And now she is retired also after putting in 10 years of service in the Indian Navy. She joined the Indian Navy in July 2011. Then you have Prasad Sonune, who is from Buldhana, Maharashtra. And he has done his engineering from Government College, Aurangabad. Engineering College, Aurangabad. He did his BE ENTC. He cleared his CDS entry and then the SSB is a student. Joined the Indian Navy in July 2014. And he is an officer in the executive branch and he is a submariner. Okay, we proceed further, friends. Radhika Dange from Mumbai. She did her engineering from Mumbai itself. She came here for SSB training to Pune with Apex. She did her BE computers. Then she served in the Indian Navy for 10 years in the education branch. And she is a July 2011 entry. She retired in July 2021, very recently, after putting in 10 years of service, as she is a short service officer. Then we have Umair Siddiqui from Meerut. He did his mechanical engineering from one of the engineering colleges in Pune. He is presently serving in the Indian Navy in the hydrography branch. He joined the Indian Navy in January 2016. The next. Yeah, this was a few of the entries, engineers who have joined the Army, Navy, and Air Force. Now, why I brought out all these things was that after doing an engineering, you can be a part of any stream of the Army, Navy, and Air Force. This is one very important point which you must note. Secondly, the Army, you have no choice. You have the choice of joining the Army. But choice of joining the regiment, that choice you don't have. You can only opt for a particular regiment, but allotment is not your priority prerogative. It is Army headquarters prerogative. So when you get commissioned, that is the time when you are allotted streams in the Army. So you may get the stream which you have not asked for. Remember that particular point. But let me tell you honestly, Army is a wonderful career. Whichever regiment you may get, still serving in the Army is a matter of pride. Okay. Now, as far as men are concerned, they can enter the Army through the technical graduates course, through the short service technical entry, or through the CDS entry. For women, it is either through short service technical course, women, we call it SS Tech W, or the CDS entry. The Navy, for men, you can either enter the Navy through the CDS entry or through INET exam. INET is Indian Navy Entrance Test. And for the women engineering graduates, they can enter the Navy only through the INET exam. As far as the Air Force is concerned, the men can join through the CDS entry or the AFCAT. And for the women, you can enter only through the AFCAT. So this is as far as how the engineers, whether men or women, how they can join the Army, Navy, or the Air Force. We proceed further, friends. CDS exam. Something more about the exams, the competitive exams. The Army, any graduate, for males as well as females, the CDS exam. For the Air Force, if a candidate has to join the Air Force entry, the CDS exam is only for the boys. The girls are not eligible for the CDS exam if they want to go for Air Force. They are only eligible for the Army entry. For the Air Force, the boys need to be graduate, engineering graduate with physics and maths at 10+2. This is especially so because this entry is ideally for the flying branch of the Indian Air Force. So if somebody has done the diploma and wants to join the Air Force, this is not the entry. Because this purely for the flying branch, wherein 10+2 is mandatory with physics and maths. For the Navy, again, it is only for the males, the CDS exam, and here you need to be a BTech, BE or a BTech. Friends, note, final year students are eligible to apply. So all those who are studying in the final year, they are eligible. Website for the CDS exam is www.upsc.gov.in. We proceed further, friends. INET, Indian Navy Entrance Test. There are various branches of the Indian Navy Naval Armament Inspection Cadre, where men and women both are eligible. It's a short service commission. Air traffic control, again, men and women are eligible. Pilot, men and women are eligible. Pilot is also a permanent commission entry. Observer, men and women. Engineering branch, only men. Electrical branch, only men. Education branch, men or women. Here it is only written men. But if it is for the women, it will be short service. In the advertisement, everything will be mentioned. Now, only one advertisement appears for the INET exam, and you can give your choices based on your interest. Good old days, friends, there was no INET exam wherein you could apply n number of times throughout the year whenever the advertisement appeared in the employment news or on their website. Now, it is available only on their website. So www.joinindiannavy.gov.in. Next, we proceed further. FCAT. We now have the flying branch and the ground duties branch. Friends, most important point here is throughout you should be getting a first class. Let me tell you, the engineering students can join the flying branch as well as the ground duties branch. In the ground duties branch, there is technical branch as well as the non-technical branch. For all the entries, friends, you need to have 60%, that is the first class all throughout, unless and until you are a postgraduate. Okay, we now proceed further. The qualities required, very important, because what is there, they check in the SSBs. You need to have good communication skills. You also need to have good listening skills. Friends, this is one very important thing, that the listening skills, even though are a part of communication skills itself, most of us might be good in speaking. However, if they are not good in listening, then it is difficult for them to get through, because ultimately you are commanding men. And you need to understand the problems of the men. So therefore, when your juniors tell their problems, you should be able to listen to them carefully for longer durations as well. Okay. And in communications, one important aspect is about English. There would be a number of engineers who graduate or complete their engineering, however, are unable to communicate in English. And this happens because of the medium of instruction during schooling. So one of the very important aspects that one must try to cater while doing engineering is to improve the communication skills. The next point, friends, is about patriotism and the passion to join defense. I'm combining these 2 points together because an engineer is patriotic, a doctor is patriotic, a leader is also patriotic. A person who is a Safai Kamgar, Safai labor is also patriotic. We are all doing something for the nation. So we are all patriots. And we all do follow patriotism. But we all necessarily will not have the passion to join defense. So therefore, patriotism in combination with passion to join defense are one of the important essential qualities required to join. The next point, again, I will combine 2, physical fitness and mental fitness. Friends, let me honestly tell you that mental fitness is very much important and more important than the physical fitness. Now, why so? Because if you are mentally fit, whatever amount of challenges you may face during training, you can overcome them. You might be physically fit, but if you are mentally not fit, you may not be able to take it on. So just physical fitness is not sufficient. Mental fitness is very much important. And physical fitness, you can get it over a period of time. You can see when the selections happen in the SSBs, they are not seeing whether the boy or the girl is obese or overweight. That is a part of the medical team. That is not the job of the SSB team. And then the training part, you'll automatically become fit after undergoing the training of 1 year or 1.5 years of physical fitness training in the academies. Okay. And engineers generally have just a 1 year training. Further motivational ability, friends, you are going to command men. So you need to have good communication skills and good ability to motivate your juniors. Because remember one thing, that you need to take the team along with you. The next point is the determination. Here I am taking an example of Uttam Kumar Jadhav, who I mentioned cleared the SSB in his 13th attempt. Do you remember now? I am sure yes. He has cleared in his 13th attempt. See the determination in a person to join the forces. That is the kind of determination that one needs. And this is an example of determination for joining the forces, friends. You need to have determination all throughout your life if you want to succeed. So we further move on. Next point is sports. Sports will help you because if you are a sports person, definitely you will have certain qualities like cooperation, coordination, getting along with the team, etc. Logical reasoning, friends, you need to think logically because these are a few testing, there are a few testing parameters wherein they see your logical reasoning as well. You need to be a team person. You are not always a leader, friends. You are always a colleague also. You are a subordinate also. So you need to be a very good team person. Next is the organizing ability. Friends, in the Army, Navy, and the Air Force, you get orders to move instantly. You have to take action in an hour or 2 hours and ensure cleanliness. I mean to say in an operation, cleanliness in an operation, I mean to say swiftness in an operation. So your organizing ability has to be of a very high order. The next point is being extrovert. Being extrovert certainly helps in selection. Does not mean that if you are introvert, you will not get selected. Let me tell you, even introvert people can get selected. But friend, let me tell you that you need to understand that you are lacking this quality of being extrovert. That is, you need to understand that you are introvert so that you can bring in improvements over a period of time. Ultimately, you can be successful when you understand your weaknesses and try to bring upon changes, try to bring upon improvements so that those weaknesses do not remain your weaknesses throughout. Next point is common sense and presence of mind. Friends, this is very important in all aspects of life. Inquisitiveness to get into details. Yes, this is one of the qualities which is very much essential. If you're not aware of a thing, then you must get into the details and find out as to what is the thing like. Last but not the least is the general awareness which one must be aware of. Okay, we proceed further, friends. SSB interviews. Stage 1. The day you report at the SSB center, You will be undergoing stage 1, which consists of an intelligence test, friends, which is a similar test as you take the placement in any corporate which comes to you in the campus. So it's similar to campus selection, wherein the initial stage happens in the college itself. Here, the intelligence test happens in stage 1, where you go for the SSB, followed by a picture perception and discussion test, which is a combination of psychological test, a group discussion. Okay. Only those students, boys and girls, who qualify the stage 1 move into the stage 2 of the SSB. So let me tell you that in the technical graduates course of the Indian Army, almost 90 to 95% of the students go home on the very first day. That is, they are not able to qualify stage 1. Now in stage 2, the psychological test, the GTO tests, the interview, in-person interview, which lasts for almost 40 to 50 minutes. And then on the 4th day, there is a conference. Stage 2, the first day is, you see, stage 1 is the first day. Once you qualify stage 1, on the 2nd day, there are psychological tests. On the 3rd and the 4th day, you have the GTO tests. Interview happens on the 2nd, 3rd, or the 4th day, any of the days. And conference happens on the 5th day. Conference is a small interview of 2 or 3 minutes, wherein a big panel of officers of 10, 12 officers are sitting there, and you are interviewed just for a minute or 2. So just nominal 2-3 questions are asked, and then you leave the conference hall. And after the conference is done, after an hour or 2, the results are announced. So we move on further, friends. Here is an important slide, friends, as to what are the opportunities for higher education after joining the forces. And these opportunities are in the Army, Navy, and Air Force, all the 3 forces. You can do your MTech from reputed IITs or reputed NITs, and you are nominated without giving the entrance test for the MTech of the IITs. It is just nomination from the forces. All right. You have to apply within your own forces. Suppose you are in the Army, you have to apply. Once you are eligible to apply, they have certain requirements, maybe 5 years or 10 years of service. After that, you are eligible to apply. Once you apply, the applications are shortlisted at the Army headquarters level. Same happens at Navy and Air Force. And then the interviews take place. In the interviews are conducted at Army, Naval and Air headquarters, which constitute of a board of officers, senior officers, and professors from IIT, and you get nominated for doing MTech. Next is certificate course in management from IIMs. So friends, Indian Institute of Management, the certificate course in management, you do it. This is a 6-month course. So when you are retiring, you can undergo this course. Part of the fees are sponsored by the Government of India. Partly you have to pay, which is helpful in when you come out of the forces to get a job in the corporate at a very senior levels. The next is study leave facility. My profile, Aditya read out, wherein you heard that I did my MBA. It is availing the study leave facility. So similarly, you can go for MTech, you can go for MBA, you can do PhD, you can do any post-graduation through the study leave facility. Now the study leave facility, you get 2 years leave, and you get full salary of an officer, whatever you have been drawing. Friend, let me tell you honestly, it's a wonderful facility. Proceed further. Pay and perks, friends. The CTC for a lieutenant in the Army, or a sub-lieutenant in the Indian Navy, or a flying officer of the Indian Air Force would be approximately rupees 1 lakh per month. This is a starting salary, friends. And in addition, you are entitled to the flying allowance or certain other allowances as well. Like for example, Chaitanya Modak, who is joined as a flying officer, or is a fighter pilot, he'll be drawing another 25,000 for risk allowance, which is eligible for the flying branch. So there are certain additional allowances as well. Next, the perks and privileges. You are entitled to free rations, you are entitled to CSD canteen facilities, the furnished accommodation provided at nominal rates, the officer mess clubs facilities, the state-of-the-art medical facilities, the retirement benefits. Friends, retirement benefit, I must make a mention. My pension today is more than ₹1 lakh. The income tax, it's deducted at source at the bank, and today I'm drawing, means more than 85,000 rupees is credited in my bank account directly by the bank as a pension. Let me tell you, friends, that today Defense Forces is the only place where you can avail pension facility. There is no other service today in Government of India or Government of Maharashtra where the pensionary benefits are there. Okay. Last but not the least, the sports and adventure facilities that you have. We move on further, friends. All the sports and adventure facilities are existing in the Army, Navy, and the Air Force. However, you need to work out your interest, and you have to get an opportunity to enter any of these fields, and you can excel in these fields as well. You can go through these: billiards, squash, tennis, badminton, polo, horse riding, horse parasailing, hang gliding, rowing, sailing, trekking, mountaineering, skiing, golf. Next. Yeah, because this presentation is being done by me, I thought I must make you aware as to what all things Apex Careers is doing. We are conducting 11th and 12th plus NDA 2-year course. And let me tell you that for this course this year, for the 11th batch, even the girls have joined. Because now the NDA has opened its doors for the girls as well. So we have boys and girls for the 11th plus 12th plus NDA stream. Then we have NDA courses, NDA regular course, 4-month course, crash courses, 1 month, NDA special 3 month batches, CDS 1 month batch, AFCAT 1 month batch, SSB 1 month, 15 days batches as well. Move on further. Yes, we come to the last slide of the presentation. You may like to note down, friends, the mobile number for contact. This is our office numbers, 9850880058. This is not my personal number, friends. 9028221458. Both are office numbers. My personal number, I am not giving you here because inquiries are generally handled by. If you have any specific query, you can definitely get my number from any of these two numbers. They will give you the number. Right? So thank you so very much. We now proceed further for any question answer session round.
Yes, sir. It was really great to hear to you, sir. So now I would like to begin up with the question and answer sessions. Okay. So participants, I request you to put up your questions in the chat box. So until then, sir, I would like to begin up with the first question. Like, can you tell us with few of your couple of prominent or exciting events you had in your tenure?
Yeah. Friends, every day in the army is exciting. Let me be very honest.
Yes.
The most wonderful and exciting tenure I had two wonderful tenures. One was in 15 Corps headquarters as a staff officer, wherein I served in BB Camp Srinagar. Let me tell you, Srinagar is a wonderful place. And when you go to Gulmarg, Kilanmarg at the government costs, and you enjoy even doing skiing courses, like I did skiing course, I did a mountain training course, mountain warfare course. Such things you never get an opportunity. Then I was also a part of the Indian peacekeeping force in Sri Lanka. So every day there is an exciting day. every day brings new challenges. Certain things which I cannot tell you on the webinar because the webinar is also being recorded. But there are variety of experiences that one gets while serving in the Army, Navy, and the Air Force. I am just giving you just one or two incidences. I served in the Corps of EME, where basically the role of an EME officer is to take care of the maintenance aspects of the vehicle and equipment of the Army. So this is a major role. Every officer will have a specific role or specific duties during his service period. However, for example, this is a main role of the EME. But as an officer, even while performing the role of recovery or OC workshop or an engineer, in addition, you learn a number of things like organizing events. You being a mess secretary of the unit, you become a bar member of the unit, you become a food member of the unit, then you are responsible for those activities. You become an accounts officer of the unit. So while serving, you learn so many things that it is unimaginable. Sky is the limit for learning, and challenges are every day. It all depends on the regiment that you get and the opportunities that you get during your service. One thing which I also has not been brought out, that an officer can also get position of being in the embassy. However, that is being done purely based on your service profile and the annual confidential report that you get during your service tenure. So at various levels, the officers are sent to embassies on deputation. So of 2 years or 3 years, it could be Nepal, it could be France, it could be USA as well. Also, you get opportunities to go for various courses abroad. So these are various good opportunities that one can get. Okay. I think that clarifies the question. Yes, Aditya. We can proceed for the next
Yes,
question.
sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Sir, just to highlight some of the questions which were asked by the participants.
Yes.
Majorly, there was a question about UAS entry. Like, how can they apply and what is the selection procedure for UAS entry?
Yes, yes. Let me tell you that most of the places, good old days, like 3 years back, 5 years back, there was an UAS entry. What is UAS entry? The students of the final year engineering or the pre-final year engineering could apply for joining the forces. And for that, the Army and the Navy used to send their teams to the engineering colleges, various engineering colleges. As far as Pune is concerned, they used to have a central hub. Say, for example, VIT could have been a central hub wherein students from VIIT, VIT, and close by engineering colleges could have been collected only at VIT, and the officers or the placement cell used to be informed that the Army team or the naval team is coming on such and such a date. So the following students have applied and they will be called. So the placement cell used to inform them, and the initial screening used to take place in the college campus. Okay. Now let me tell you that presently, I think none of the Air Force or the Army or the Navy are having the university entry scheme. Due to some reasons, they have discontinued. Now, if there is an entry, these details will always be seen or will come on the official websites of the Army, Navy, and the Air Force. So if you are a student of the pre-final or the final year engineering, you need to go through these advertisements which come on the websites. Another thing, the technical graduate course, the FCAT, the INET, as it is, you are eligible to apply when you are studying in the final year. Okay. So whether they are going to reopen the university entry scheme or not, it is a matter of the Army, Navy, and the Air Force headquarters. But I believe presently they have discontinued the university entry scheme. Okay.
Yes.
So one more question which was requested by Brunal Ahire, and she wants to know that she has not done 10+2 in maths and physics, but she has done a diploma after 10 and took an admission in the engineering branch. So is there any possibility for her to join the forces?
Now,
through FCAT?
specific, you can ask, I would like to speak to the girl if she can come on this thing, or you can check up from her, basically whether she is keen for the Air Force or the Army or the Navy, and which stream. Suppose she is keen on the Air Force. Is she keen on the flying branch? If flying branch, no, she is not eligible for the flying branch. But yes, she can join the technical branch. She can join the ground duties branch. For the flying branch, she has got necessarily from the 10+2 technical, 10+2 and then done engineering. Whereas various other entries, any engineering graduate is eligible. Understood?
Yes. Okay. Sir, she has mentioned that she wants to join the Air Force, but not necessarily flying branch.
Then she cannot join the flying stream. She can be a part of the technical stream or the ground duty stream. Ground duty is non-technical. Now technical. You see, in good old days, we used to call the flying branch one branch, second was the technical branch, and third was the ground duties. Now what has happened is they have made only two branches. One is the flying branch and second is the ground duties. In the ground duties, now they have made it as the technical and the non-technical. So now there are only two branches. One is the flying branch and second is the ground duties. All right. Yes.
So, sir, we have several questions from participants regarding the medical, especially the vision standards. So, can you please elaborate on this?
Okay, vision for flying, vision not acceptable.
Okay.
Okay. No specs are acceptable. Vision not acceptable. Correction. Specs are not acceptable. It will, as far as other entries are concerned, it varies entry to entry. Say, for example, I'll give you an example. For the normal technical graduates course, the entry for the boys specs could be -3.5 plus 3.5 for the boys. But for the girls, it is -5.5 and plus 5.5. So the range or acceptability for each and every entry for the entries are different. For the Navy and the Air Force, it will be different. I talked about the Army. So it will be different for different streams. So we need not go into the details. One thing which the girls or the boys would mainly be interested to know is whether for the flying branch it will be acceptable or not. So generally specs are not admissible. Next point about the vision itself is whether the laser surgery is permitted or not. Okay, means if the number is okay, no specs are there, but laser surgery is permitted, is permissible, but after the age of 20. So surgery done before the age of 20 is not admissible. And if the candidate has done a laser surgery, the ophthalmologist can easily detect. So if one is keen for a specific thing and wants to go in specifically for flying or where his number has to be brought down, then the surgery has to be performed only after the age of 20. Okay, so I have covered the vision point.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
To add to the vision point,
yes,
like you said, that the surgery has to be done after 20, and the moment you have done surgery, you should have a gap of 12 months between your surgery
generally it is the gap of 6 months. Any surgery, after any surgery, the gap between the medical and the surgery has to be more than 6 months. At times for other surgeries, it could be 1 year as well. But for example, somebody has undergone an hernia surgery. Then there is a gap requirement for undergoing a medical of minimum period of 6 months. And suppose somebody cracks the SSB for a particular batch. It is only for that particular batch. So if that he has to perform a surgery and he has undergone that surgery and then the medical 6 months gap is there, then he cannot join the batch. But he is eligible to apply for the next entry as well. But he has to again crack the next SSB, again undergo the next medical, where that problem will not be coming. But he will lose that opportunity at that particular point of time. Understood? Because that batch would have already joined and already 3 months or 6 months would have completed. Where there is hardly any time, maybe just 2 or 3 months after you crack the SSB and by the time you join the academy. I think that completes your requirement of the surgery and those questions. All right.
Yes, sir. So, sir, as you are army officer along with a teacher, so could you please highlight few key points a student or an aspirant of defense services has to keep in mind while appearing for a written exam, or we can say SSB?
Points to be kept in mind for appearing for a written exam or SSB?
I mean, acing through the exam.
For the written exam, it is not very tough, friends. CDS, whether it is CDS exam or whether it is, honestly speaking, even the cracking of the SSB, one can do it without going for any coaching as well. And written, though, one can definitely pass without going for coaching. We do provide coaching for all the examinations, even for the SSB. But what happens in the SSB, let me honestly tell you, the confidence levels will be improved, number one. Number two, other than the confidence levels, your communication skills are likely to improve. Number two. Number three, your presentation skills are likely to improve. Number four, you will understand your strengths and weaknesses, because most of the students do not realize. Everybody thinks that he knows everything. Everyone thinks that he is aware of his strengths and he is aware of his weaknesses. But that is not the truth. I have hardly seen out of the so many candidates, I have made more than 500 to 600 officers till date. And I have not seen more than 5% of the students who are very clear about their strengths and weaknesses. Not even 5%. But all of us feel that no, I know my strengths and weaknesses. So that is one of the places or areas which, if the institute is good, that can help you. And we take personal interest in training each and every student, so that, and as far as interviews are concerned, I personally interview each and every candidate. So I give the strengths and weaknesses to the student if he is not aware. If he is aware, well, yes, I improve that points, how his presentation and all that. Then there are psychological tests wherein improvement can be brought in the way they are presenting various themselves. Like, for example, there are stories to be put across in writing. So the students may be able to put stories, but not in a very presentable way. So all these things, because ultimately most of us have all the qualities. There is no need of, but the polishing is very much important. And the coaching will certainly help in bringing out those qualities in front of the people who are assessing you. All right.
Yes, sir.
As far as written is concerned, I feel that if you are serious enough in preparations, you should be able to crack. The only thing that an institute can help you is, because what happens is, if one thinks, "Main kar lunga, I will do it," generally it doesn't happen, because one doesn't sit continuously for studies and take the studies as seriously as one should. So coaching helps that you put in continuous 4.5 hours or 5 hours of studies at an institute, and that also motivates you to study further So that is how it helps you in cracking the exam. It is not, the coaching will not straight away help you. If you don't study yourself, it is not going to help. Or if you just attend coaching and you are not attentive, it is not going to help. All right. So you need to attend, you need to be attentive, and you need to work also after that. All right.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
sir. So one thing,
Yeah.
yeah. So one thing I'd like to tell all the participants is that, like in the slides you mentioned there, in the OLQ section, which is officer like quality section,
Yes.
that you mentioned the second point was listening skills.
Yes.
And just to highlight one more thing about it, because I've been to the Air Force Selection Board, even if you have not done your coaching, you have not done anything, whatever instructions are given by any officer standing in front of you, listen to it very meticulously and just follow the instructions to the T, and you might as well sail through the AFSB board. So I think that's a very good takeaway for students.
Yeah, good. I think Nirmay has given this point. Nirmay, you have given this point, no? Nirmay
Yes,
Veland.
sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, very good point. One more point is there, which I will add to Nirmay's point. You have to, which has not been covered in my presentation at all, observation ability. Friend, when you are doing, there are in the GTO tasks, when you are going through these obstacles and all that, unless and until you have got a good observation, you will not be able to suggest good ideas. Like I said, idea generation is also important. Then you have to think logically also. And all this will happen if provided you have a good observation skill as well, in addition to the communication skills. Listening skills, I included in the communication skills only, but observation skills are equally important. Okay, so I thought I'll just add to Nirmay, because he's brought out a very good point. So the students also should understand this observation skills is a very important and essential quality without which you cannot get recommended. All right. So we can proceed further, Aditya.
Yes, sir.
Hello. Hello, am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes, sir, I am Mrunala Hire, and first of all, thanks to host for giving me chance to speak here. Sir, at the starting, one of our hosts asked my question that as I am diploma holder, so I cannot apply for the FCAT as a flying officer.
Correct.
So what are the entry scheme for the technical as well as the ground duty branch in the Air Force itself?
No, I didn't understand your question. What did you say? Technical branch and ground duties branch? What is your question?
Sir, how I can apply for the technical?
Yeah, okay. You have to apply for the FCAT only, There is only one entry. If you are keen to join the Air Force, there is only one entry where the girls can apply. That is known as the FCAT, Air Force Common Admission Test. And that you will get on the Air Force website, www.careerairforce.nic.in. This is the website. And this FCAT exam is conducted twice in a year. Generally in the month of January or February, and then August/September. And the advertisement will generally be, or the notification for this will come around 2 months in advance, 2 or 3 months before the exam. And all these notifications you can see only on the website. You see, 10 years back, the employment news, every advertisement used to come. Now there is no, even though the employment news is there, but the government is not spending on the advertisements in the newspaper or in the employment news. So perforce you have only, the only option of finding out about these advertisements is through the official websites. All right. Even let me tell you, there are certain websites which give false information. Just go through the official websites of the Army, Navy and Air Force if you are keen on joining any of the forces. All right, Pranal?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yes, so one thing I'd like to add here. Some of the students have asked the questions like for engineers to join in the Army, or for engineers to join the Navy, for engineers to join the Air Force. Just to clarify, that, like sir has mentioned, some of the entries for all of you, all the officers who will enter the armed forces will go through the same entry, whether it is engineers, whether it is for flying branch, whether it is for any other branches. All of them will go through the same entry. So you have to go to the website of Indian Air Force, Indian Navy, and Indian Army, look at the prospectus and apply there itself, like sir said. And so there is one question from Umesh, who is asking that he has a burn on his hand, but his hand is not fractured. So is it okay for the medical test?
No, burn on his hand.
Yes, sir.
If there is no deformity, there is no problem. You see, it will, I'll tell you what, disease of any kind is not acceptable. If there is a deformity of any kind, it is not acceptable. Okay. Rest of the things, if, for example, somebody is having his thumb is not there, it's a deformity. Without thumb, how can a officer do firing? So deformities are not permitted. Even skin diseases are not permitted. Now, for more details, for a specific thing, one will have to approach the medical officer only. However, I don't think there will be any problem as far as burns are concerned. All right. Let me tell you, I have met with an accident while in service, while in the army. And then the bones get joined. Once they heal and they get joined, there is no problem. Till the time there could be a problem in performance of the duties, till that time there is absolutely no problem. Okay. So the medical conditions or the medical rules are made in such a way that you should be able to perform the duties without any problem. That is the idea of a medical board. Okay.
Yes, sir. So one more thing, a guy has asked that what are the tasks in GTO specifically? So just elaborate.
I think the GTO task we should not go here. So it's a
Okay.
kind of a training activity which needs elaborate things. Okay, because I have in my institute, I have got models also, but I will not be able to show you it here now. Because you will have to undergo a training or you'll have to go through the obstacles. All these things can be a part of the GTO training in the of the SSB. Okay.
Okay.
Verbal
So,
clarification of the task is very difficult.
Yes, sir. So
I
there was
don't
one.
mind giving training free of cost also, don't worry about that. But on the webinar, it is not possible to give it. That is why even during the lockdown periods, we had totally stopped the SSB training. And when we restarted the SSB, we are doing it offline only. We are taking proper classes, physical. The GTO tasks, the group discussions, they cannot be done online. Now there would be officers, there would be some organizations who have conducted online SSB training. It is not worth it. All right. So let me make it very clear and frank. Another point which I would like to mention, small point, which is from my own side. Friends, Apex Careers, we have proved ourselves over a period of time, last 16 years. And generally, the entire Pune knows about the success rate of the Apex. We are a very professional institute wherein we have a minimum of 2 to 3 GTOs, 2 interviewing officers, 2 psychologists to train you for the SSBs. No other institute in Pune has so many faculties to train you for the SSBs. Okay. As far as the written training is concerned, for every batch, we have at least 8 to 10 academicians to train you for the various subjects that you appear for the competitive exam. Okay, this is just a general knowledge for your knowledge sake, just for your information sake, so that in case you are keen for coaching, there are a number of coaching institutes, no doubt about that. But we are very, very professional in our approach of training students. That's all I would like to convey.
Yes, sir. So one, just an addition to what the students are asking. a lot of the questions are related to medical testing and what are the standards for this and what are the standards for that.
Correct.
Without involving sir in this, like from my side, I'll share a PDF uh, of all the medical standards required and whatever is permissible and what is not with Swati Shilaskar ma'am, Dr. Swati ma'am, and she will share it with you via email or however she can.
Yes, one Nirmay,
Yes, sir.
I just want to, there is one question which is I can see, third year student, can he apply for CDS? Just can I clarify this?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sure.
Yes, friends, you cannot apply when you are studying in the third year. You need to apply only when you are studying in the final year. Because if you apply when you are studying in the third year, you will get an SSB call when you are studying in the third year itself. And then you will not be able to, even if you clear it, you will not be able to join. So how can you be eligible when you are studying in the third year? So ideally, you should apply when you are studying in the final year in the month of September as well as in the month of April. There will be 2 exams in a year, CDS exams, so which is conducted in September and April. So if you are a student of the final year, you are eligible. Second year, third year, and first year students are not eligible. Okay. So that I think clarifies one of the questions which I just saw. I am
Yes,
done. I am
sir.
done. Any other questions you would like to bring out, or we can close the seminar?
We
Aditya, you
have
can.
one question from one of the participants. Says that, sir, I have cleared 2021 one AFCAT, but didn't appear for AFSE because of less marks. And having thought that clearing AFSE, AFSB in first attempt is easy, and because I want flying branch,
Okay, I got the point.
my question is, will it affect my next AFSE?
No. Yeah. If you have not gone for, what's his name? Student's name?
Ganesh Zadav.
Ganesh, as far as your AFSB is concerned, whether you go for this AFSB or do not go, it doesn't make any difference. Okay. The only thing that makes a difference is you have to be very honest when you go for any SSB interview, whether it is AFSB or SSB. So firstly, you have got to be very honest. Secondly, your performance in your previous AFSB or SSB doesn't hamper your selection in the next AFSB or SSB. You may get recommended in the first AFSB, and due to some reasons, or if in the merit you don't come next SSB or AFSB, you may get rejected. So anything is possible. You getting not recommended in the first, you get recommended in the second. You get recommended in the first, you need not get recommended in the second. Any such permutations and combinations are possible. The only thing is the pilot aptitude battery test, which we call it the PABT, is conducted once in a lifetime. All right. If you appear for the PABT once and you do not clear, then you are not entitled to flying throughout your life, as far as the Air Force is concerned. So, but nobody can give you a guarantee. Whatever amount of training you may undertake, still there is no guarantee of clearing the PABT in the first attempt that you go for the AFSB. All right. And the PABT will happen only after you clear the AFSB. So I think Ganesh's questions have been clarified by me. Okay. If he has any further questions, Ganesh, you can call me on my personal number. My personal number, you can note down 98500-88343. Or you can approach Aditya or Niramay or Swati madam and get my personal number. I think I have clarified his point.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. So I think a chunk of questions have been answered now, and basically a better idea of things have been given to the students. And I'd like Aditya to go ahead with the vote of.
Just 1 minute, just 1 minute before
Yes,
we
sir.
close from my
Yes, sir.
side. Just because I saw one question, elaborate height criteria for women. Height criteria for men is 5 feet 2 inches. For women is 5 feet. For men, 5 feet 2 inches. For women, it is 5 feet. For the flying branch for men and women, it is 5 feet 4 inches, 162.5 centimeters. So that further clarifies, because that could be a common question for somebody.
Yes. So that's why.
yeah.
So that's why I said that I'll share this thing PDF, which has all the details of these medical tests. So they can
Anybody
go through the PDF. Yeah.
contact me on my mail ID or my personal for clarification of further questions. I think that would be better.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That would be better.
Okay. My
Yes, sir.
personal number can be shared. There is no problem. So
Yes, sir.
they can WhatsApp me and I will clarify their doubts.
Yes. Okay, sir. Sir, I'll just ask Aditya to give a vote of thanks now.
Okay.
Aditya, you're not audible. Unmute.
Yes, am I audible now?
Yeah.
Yes. So on behalf of my college, I extend a really hearty vote of thanks to our speaker, Lieutenant Colonel Brahmankar sir, who spared time from his busiest schedule to grace the occasion. Today we had an opportunity to hear him and know about his thoughts and his life as an officer. Sir, your thoughts have enlightened our minds, have shown us a new path in defense as a career. So I believe this has surely encouraged us and will be helpful in some or the other way. A special mention to our respected Swati Shilaskar ma'am for being a pillar of strength for making this event happen. I hereby conclude this session. Thank you, Mr. Sir and Brahmankar sir, Swati ma'am, and all my fellow participants for being part of this session. And I express my gratitude. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And thank you, Niramay and Aditya. Thank you all participants.